Hi, my name is Chris Denisio. I am a player and sometimes a plot team member for Nero Empire, and today we are going to be showing you how to do combat. So, when you do combat in Nero, you need a weapon to do combat with. Most swords that are long or short can do 2 damage, but damage to what? You have 2 different sets of points that you need to keep track of: your body points and your armor points. Keldor here has armor in the form of his leather gambeson, and body, which is your intrinsic hit points. So your standard Nero weapon will usually be a long sword or a short sword. It's what most people use, and it's probably the easiest weapon to use. Now, both the long sword and the short sword will cause 2 damage, first to armor and then to body. So, for Eric, I'll have to just to normal, to normal, to normal. I say normal because my weapon is not enchanted. It has no additional carriers, which we will cover a little bit later. To normal, to normal, to normal, to normal. Notice I do not aim for any sensitive areas, such as his head, his hands, or places that would cause extreme pain. Now also, Eric is wielding a shield. Shields are very nice when it comes to normal damage, because if you can just keep walking to normal, to normal, to normal, to normal, none of that actually would affect you. But if I was able to get around the shield, to normal, to normal, to normal, to normal, each of those hits would hurt, technically. Another thing to note when it comes to weapon swings, you don't want to just do a giant wind-up and smack. That's 1, against the rules, and 2, would cause an immense amount of pain. Also, instead of a standard weapon where you would follow through, you want to let the weapon bounce. Which is nice because when we use our foam weapons, that's what they do automatically. Now, but when your opponent starts fighting back, to normal, to normal, to normal, to normal, to normal, to normal, and you get hit yourself, I'm not wearing any armor. So each of those hits would go straight to my body. But when weapons meet, the strike is nullified. There's not really any damage to be called, except for your standard call. There are other things that can change that, for example, like slays if you're a fighter. For a slay, you must say the incantation, prepare to die. Prepare to die, 100 normal slay. The slay would always delivers 100 points of damage unless you have some modifier on there. And it's always normal, again, unless you have a modifier on there. Another thing you may not want to do is part of sword etiquette and weapon etiquette. You don't want a machine gun. What is machine gunning? It's where you go through and you strike at the same spot a bunch of times. To normal, to normal, to normal, to normal. 1, that's on the shield and doesn't do any good anyways, and 2, if it's done on the flesh, it can cause extreme pain. You want to always have at least 45 degrees between each of your hits. Other side of the body is fine too, just not rapid firing on the same exact spot. Now, most weapon calls are based on a few factors. 1 is the weapon's type. A short sword like this, or like this, will have a call of 2. It goes up from there. Or if you have a smaller weapon like a dagger, which would only be 1. Then you have the carrier type, which can be anything from normal to fire to chaos to any of a myriad of other choices. But since this is an unenchanted sword, it's just simply 2 normal. Next, we're going to cover what combat looks like between 2 relatively low-level players who are just swinging with normal weapons.
Too normal. Too normal. Too normal. Got it. Too normal. Too normal. Too normal. Ah!
Now, something you might have noticed during that combat. Eric and I always kept at least 1 weapon's length between us at all times, which is just standard etiquette. Other things that you really don't want to do is you really don't want to charge, and you cannot shield bash, which is taking a shield and literally bashing it against your opponent. Now, carriers are something important when it comes to weapon calls. Carriers can be massive, for example, which goes straight through weapons and into body and armor. There are many other carriers as well. It'll take some mixing and matching to find exactly what you want. Some weapons will have the carrier just based on what you pick the weapon up from, because yes, there are some weapons that drop as loot. But if you want your own personal weapon, you'll have to find a mage to get them to enchant it for you. Now let's look at examples of what each of these carriers can do when attacking a player character. Now first off, let's look at the massive carrier. Say this weapon had massive. Let's go kill someone. And massive! Notice it went through his shield and straight to his body. Let's change the carrier on this for a second. Change it from, say, chaos to fire. Now if I go up to an individual and just say, 10 fire! Oh wait, that's a flub. A flub is when you misspeak your calls. It can happen when you can cast magic, it can happen with weapons when you cast magic, or when you're just trying to talk too fast. Now, if I went up to a normal player and went 10 magic fire, that would end up hurting. Probably not enough to knock out most players, but it would still hurt. Now, let's say Eric wasn't a normal player and say he was an ice elemental instead. I would go up 10 magic fire! Fire being the opposite of ice, it would knock the creature down and probably kill. Let's talk about how you finish off a monster. I just killed this troll! Now, a lot of times a monster will be able to be killing blow with normal. Killing blow 1, killing blow 2, killing blow 3, normal. But that doesn't always fix everything. A troll, for example, that'll almost never work on them. Now, since it's a troll, we can try it using fire instead. And that would be killing blow 1, killing blow 2, killing blow 3, magic fire. And that completely killed the creature. Let's take some time and do another combat demonstration, combining some of the previously mentioned carriers and elements. For this demonstration, both Eric and I will be creatures with standard body and health, and not elementals or anything else that could be differently affected by different elements. To normal!
To magic fire! To magic fire!
To normal!
To magic fire!
Got it. Prepare to die. 100 normal. Yeah. That was a flub. 100 normal massive slam. To normal!
To magic fire! Got it.
Prepare to die. 100 massive slam!
Ah!
Killing blow 1, killing blow 2, killing blow 3, magic!
Oh.
Another thing to be aware of when in combat are your resists and your magical defenses. Defenses can range from a few different things. You can buy a resist physical, you can have a shield magic, a magic armor, an elemental shield, a poison shield, and those are the ones that are all from your spell tree, those 4. When you get hit with a poison effect, if there's poison anywhere in the call of the strike, you can say poison shield, and you will not take any effect from that hit. The same with elemental. If there's elemental anywhere in the call, it will protect you. When it comes to magic armor guards you against your next hit. If you have a magic armor up and someone taps you with a sword and then slays you, it'll only protect you against the sword. When it comes to shield magic or reflect magic, in the same vein, you can only have one or the other. Just say shield magic, and it'll protect you from the next magic spell that hits you. And reflect magic will send the spell back at its original caster. Now, delivery methods are another story. There are 2 in particular, spell strike and physical strike. Spell strike means that you take a spell from your tree or from an enchantment that's placed on your weapon, and you can use that spell as if you were striking it with a sword. For example, spell strike death, and they would die. Physical strike is very similar, but it can be resisted and you can magic armor it. Spell strike, you can use shield magic, obviously. So When it comes to physical strike, it would be like physical strike sleep. And the individual would fall asleep unless they had resists or other countermeasures to protect themselves from sleep. Another thing to be aware of are status effects when it comes to delivery methods. Status effects can range anything from asleep to nauseated to dying to dead. There are many others as well, some of which will be thrown in at random, some of which can be not even known of before the encounter. One to be really aware of, though, is the berserk effect. We're going to now take all the effects that we have learned so far and combine them all into something that looks a little bit more like advanced combat as it would be at Nero.
Too normal. Physical strike, sleep. Magic armor. Spell strike, death. Shield magic. Too normal, too normal. Too normal. Spell strike, sleep. Kill number 1, kill number 2, kill number 3, magic.
Thank you for joining us for the basics of Nero combat. Please drop a like and subscribe. If you have any questions, you can post a comment on this video or contact us through the website. And as always, have a great day.